And then they were like, you have to do this and this. And then he was like, actually, that was kind of cool. Want to write a song together? And that was how that song was made. And it was made in 7 days. And they like flew together. And they teach it at church camp. And it was like amazing. So it's a really fun song. Forrest Frank is such a great artist. So answering a few questions I've received this weekend. Yes, I am pregnant. No, I'm not going to be giving birth today. Although a live birth, I think, would put me on the top 10 DE talks of all time, right? Oh, thanks. You didn't want my spotlight on? Cool. We don't know what we're having. I'm 34 weeks. Yes, the baby is low. I'm very uncomfortable. Yes, me and my husband know how this works. What other things? All my kids are excited. So those are all the questions. I do have 2 brains, and I've never been dumber, so if I do mess up some words today, give me some grace, okay? Well, it was a beautiful weekend. Everyone had a fantastic time. I saw people crying. I saw people falling in love. I saw people just shedding those husks, and it's been a really incredible weekend. So I'm glad that you're all here. I apologize for my children being the loudest kids ever, but we would like to, as a family, have the ground shake as the Farrars as we enter a room. So we met at DE 10 years ago this July, my husband and I was sitting on the stage waxing poetic about how you should open a practice and how it's the greatest thing ever and chiropractic's the greatest thing ever. And my husband looked at me and he was like, mine. And I had no idea. And then he became my friend. And we were talking and talking about taking down the CCE and what the real definition of subluxation is, normal first friend talks that people have. And and we were just talking all the time. And then he was like, yeah, I think you're my wife. And I was like, excuse me? Because I'm 9 years older than my husband. So all of my other friends were joking that he couldn't even drive a car to our first date. And so the age gap was pretty pronounced and profound. And that's what we fell in love with. We fell in love with the principle of chiropractic, and it's something that we passionately serve in every aspect. I would say we are on the board of the FCS because everything we do together. So all my kids are on the board of the FCS because we all go to every FCS conference, and they're right up the butt of the FCS, my children. And so we are always fighting for principled chiropractic. We're always trying to reach students in principled chiropractic, and I think that's one of the beautiful things that Dr. Cordero shared about being the remnant and about being passionate about what chiropractic is and where we're going to stand after. I had a girlfriend say to me this weekend, she goes, God, you're going away again? And I was like, yeah. We do somewhere between 19 and 26 weekends for chiropractic a year, my entire family. Now, we don't have the child care to drop off 3 very rambunctious children with my in-laws. It's a big no for our family. And so we are serving with the FCS. We serve on the board of AMPT. We teach at our Palmer, Florida students at our friend's office, Dr. Robert White, who's also a phenomenal principled chiropractor in Orlando. We do that about once a month. And so we are constantly going away to serve chiropractic, save chiropractic, because, and I was talking to my girlfriend about this, because most of my friends are stay-at-home moms, and they're always like, gosh, you're always leaving, you're always packing up your kids, you're always going somewhere, and I was like, well, what my husband and I feel is our calling is that we need to serve chiropractic, but we also believe truly that if we aren't the next generation of fighters for chiropractic, our great-grandkids may not be able to get adjusted. They might have to see undercover spinologists in people's basements because chiropractic has been absorbed by the medical profession. And Dr. Bryan spoke last night about the things that we are opposing in the state of Florida, the things that, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes politically that as just like a humdrum regular, I go to the work on Monday morning, crush some spines, and go home and have a happy life, which is what my whole family of chiropractors were. I'm the 9th chiropractor in my family. My husband is the 10th. And they just did chiropractic. And I didn't know anything about, it's okay. Um, They weren't active politically. When I went to Palmer, Florida, I walked in there, and I had over 100 kids in my class, and there were about 9 of us Chiro kids. And this kid, Shane Semigon, comes up to me, and he's like 85 feet tall, so he's looking really down at me, and I'm looking really up at him, and he goes, so, are you a straight or are you a mixer? And I looked at him, and I was like, I like guys. He's like, no, like your parents, like, do they do other stuff or like just adjust? I was like, what else is there? This is the 3rd day of school. I had no idea there was anything other than Gonstead Chiropractic, and I had no idea what a mixer was. My dad did have that vibrating thingy, it's like the square with the 2 handles, and you like do it to the back and you're itchier than if you got bit by 1,000 fire ants. Like, he had that thing, because apparently you get $15 per person in the Mercedes 80, so you would just run that thing up and down the big farmers' butts and be like, thanks, see you later. And so that was like, does that count as mixing? And he was like, that doesn't sound like mixing. I was like, okay, cool. No, I'm straight. I guess I'm straight. And so I was in school, and I had no idea about this dichotomy that was happening in our profession. And so as I pressed through and was going to school, I got introduced to DE, and I met Lucas Matlock, and he was the president of CS at that time, and he was talking about seeing high volume, chiropractic, seeing thousands of people a week, and I was like, that's impossible, you can't give good care, because I was young and I know everything, just like when you're 15 and you tell your mom, like, no, this is okay, I can do this, and she's like, absolutely not. So I was just very arrogant, and then they opened my eyes to like, what was going on and what percentage of the population of chiropractors were actually serving the public versus what population of the chiropractors were serving themselves. And so my husband and I have always been active in this and always been trying to radically save students, and that's literally how we think about it. We bring people to Christ through our practice. It's a big mission of our family, but one of our missions in chiropractic is that we would bring students awareness before they had to suffer and fail and burn out in practice. And that there is this beautiful way to practice where you just love people and adjust people and serve them and serve their families and take care of them. And to most people, and I can very much attest for Palmer, Florida, that is insanity. They're like, there's no way. Because we got a whole bunch of subluxation haters, we got a whole bunch of failed chiropractors, and we got a whole bunch of medical doctors from other countries. That is the staff of Palmer, Florida. And so the focus on passing microbiome and biochem and pathology and all this stuff and refer out, there's a whole division and club group that is about becoming portal of entry care providers, doing blood work. I'm like, who wants to take blood pressure? I walked into Marilyn Shore's office to shadow her on this like incredible week with Shane Semigon, the guy who had made sure I knew that I was straight. And he and I went and we drove, we saw Dr. Dana Beckshire, and we saw Joe Curso, and we saw Eddie, we saw Jenny Caceres, we went to all these places. But I was in Marilyn Shore's office, and I was like, so, you take blood pressure on every patient? And she was like, delete. I was like, no, like, do you take blood pressure on them? So, they're not going to stroke out, like, you have to, like, check that in their day one. Delete. She wouldn't even speak to me about it. She was like, no. She just kept saying delete, which is now something that I've learned is a very powerful thing. And she was like, don't even bring that into she took me outside of her office, and her little dog was there. It was so cute. She goes, don't talk about that in there. This is a place of healing. We're not talking about that. Don't even invite that in. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I'm sitting there, my eyes bugging on my head, like, what did I say? What did I do? And I got invited to DE, and I took the DE pledge of going to 4 in a row. And truly, I've missed less than a handful, mostly due to childbirth. So I feel like I get a card for that. I think that's okay. I think that's a pass. But one of the things that is so important, and what Brian talked about, was like being insane last night, right? I can't remember the word he said. It's a D word. I asked. It's already out of my brain. Delusional. Thank you. Thanks, guys. I asked it earlier, and then I was like, delirious? It's not delirious. So 2 brains. Never been dumber, okay? So the baby is literally sucking my intelligence, innate and educated, right out of my body. And so being delusional, like Sid was delusional. BJ Palmer, truly delusional, right? D.D. Palmer downloaded, right, from innate the idea of chiropractic. There are people out there that are sharing about chiropractic that it's demonic, that it's from the same, because he was a magnetic healer. And I was like, guys, we're made out of energy, people. People will hate anything. I was like, listen, if they want to get rid of it, it's probably good, right? They want to get rid of homeopathy, it's probably good. They want to regulate things, it's probably good. As soon as you want to regulate me, I'm like, no thanks. Because when that horrible episode of 2020 happened, my sister, she's a chiropractor in Rhode Island, was forced to be vaccinated to practice. So it was close your practice or get vaccinated. And Jay Corson, who I think a lot of you guys know, moved. He was like, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya. Like, you can't tell me what to do. And my husband and I, we sat there and we talked about it, and no chance. No chance. It's not going to happen. We're going undercover. We're going to be spinologists. Like, that's what we're going to be, guys. There's no regulations for spinologists, so let's all just band together under that banner if this ever happens again. And we're like, we'll just see people. We'll see people in our basement. We'll see people in our car in parking lots. We will be the white van, right? Like, we got a plan. People are going to be, like, shuffling their babies to us. It'll be great. Because that is being delusional. That is being, did I say the wrong word again? Great. That's being insane about chiropractic. We have to be insane. And the problem is, not enough of us are being insane, because I truly think some of the most insane chiropractors are in this room, right? Like, crazy MFers, if I'm saying, like, we are nuts, right? We are making claims that our malpractice insurances are just shaking in their boots, right? They're like, don't put that on your website. Like, we're fine, Matt McCoy, don't worry, like, we're fine, right? And so we need to continue to be delusional, because we don't currently have a SID, but you could be the SID that is in your space, in your town. You could be the one that is radically empowering parents to say no, to choose differently, to parent differently, to stand up to their overbearing families who think that their kids are going to die if they don't get shots, that they're going to be idiots if they get homeschooled because you don't want them indoctrinated. These are the people. We would like to be delusional. Because don't you want 50 years from now chiropractic to still be the profession that it is today because of something you did? Because if you just go to work on Monday and you see a couple people and maybe you churn out one chiropractor that you inspired through your practice, you're not doing enough. It's not enough. Because what we are here, why God chose you for this profession, why he made it so that you ended up in this room at these tables for whatever time, whether it's your first time, your 50th time, your 10th time, whether you're like, I don't know if I like it. I tell people, here's my description of DE. It's a Chinese buffet, right? We got some people that come up here, orange chicken. Who doesn't like orange chicken? Everybody likes orange chicken, right? But then there's also that, like, weird pork with the pink around the edges. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. You've been to Chinese buffet. You're like, I would never touch that pork. And then you see some lady coming down, she's piling her plate with the pink pork. Because at a Chinese buffet, there's something for everyone. And if somebody came up here, and maybe that's me for you today, and you're not getting anything out of it, fine. I'm not here for you. There's going to be somebody out here that's, like, broken in half. Their soul's going to be shattered, and they're going to come up to me crying, and they're going to be like, your talk was for me. And I'll be like, what? I was rambling, right? like I've lost my mind. But that's because, and my pastor always talks about this, that he is just some idiot that loves the Lord and has been given this opportunity on the podium, and the Holy Spirit just hangs out right here. And then as the words leave my mouth, the Holy Spirit's going to filter it, and he's going to get on the people who need to hear that message that day. And so people are like, what is your plan for DE? What are you going to talk about? I'm like, well, I haven't heard DE yet. And last night, with Brian saying delusional, and with Dr. Cordero talking about the remnant, I was like, that is it. We also brought our student, our intern, Ellie, here. She's from Sherman. She's awesome. She did not know that she was also going to be wrangling an almost 3-year-old who's desperately in love with her, but only calls her dat girl. Dat girl coming in our car, dat girl coming, dat girl do my hair. But so Ellie, crazy story. I had no idea who Ellie was. Ellie was like texting my husband. She's like, can I intern with you? He was like, sure, sounds great. Thomas, my husband's brother, went to Sherman. I'm like, who's this Ellie girl? Is she legit? They're like, oh yeah, she's legit. I was like, cool. She gets here. We find out she's engaged to this guy, Dr. Rob. Dr. Rob was at Sherman Showcase with Thomas. He sat at our breakfast table when we took Thomas to Sherman Showcase, and we basically told him, if you don't go here, you're dumb, and you should do Gonstead, because that's what we do. We love it, okay? Don't hate me for loving my technique. Y'all love your techniques. I can love mine. So we told this guy and his mother, he has to go here. It's the Harvard of chiropractic schools, and you need to do Gonstead. It's awesome. So what does he do? He goes to Sherman, because we're very persuasive, and he starts in Gonstead. What does Ellie do? Ellie goes to Gonstead Club. They fall in love. They're going to be opening a practice in Arizona. They're getting married in November. I introduced her to her husband. Woo! Totally taking credit for that. Was I there when they met? No, but he wouldn't have been there if I wasn't a bully. Okay? So then Ellie is talking to my husband. So my husband's a great listener, and he'll talk to you about three things. He'll talk to you about chiropractic, he'll talk to you about Jesus, and he'll talk to you about parenting. And that's about it. If you're like, hey, how's practice? He's like, oh, God. He's an introvert. He's not here for that. But if you're like, what do you think the foundational premise means in parenting with chiropractic? How do you merge those together? He's like, let's go. Like, let's have a 2.5-hour conversation about this. So Ellie and him are up there, I'm talking about fears in practice and should they open and doing all this stuff. And then they talk about a multitude of things. And I'm like barely conscious in the back seat because we leave our practice at 7:30 to 8 p.m. on Thursdays, go get our kids, put everyone in the car, and drive here to arrive at 2 a.m. on Friday morning so we don't miss any of DE. Delusional, right? My kids call this the concert conference. They're like, which one are we going to? Because we go to about somewhere between 19 and 26 a year, depending on the year. This is the concert one. They're like, oh, I love the concert one. Because you all pick incredible songs that they love, and they dance. And if you were back, Johnny Bonsalmo was in love with my third kid, just breaking it down in the back every time you guys had clapping. We have a picture of Honora dead asleep at DE last year, and then the clapping would happen, and she would wake up and clap, and then go right back to sleep. Because that's DE's in us. It's who we are. We're delusional. No one should put 3 children and a 34-week pregnant person in a car at 8 p.m. at night and then drive 4.5 hours and con our intern who has no idea what DE is. We're like, we're going to do this. She was like, okay, sounds great. And then you all, in the glory of God and the wonderfulness that is DE, every single one of you hit every point that we told Ellie on that 4-hour. She was sitting here the first day and she was like, what is happening? Did they hear our conversation in the car? We're like, listen, we're DE all the way through. If you cut us in half, we would bleed DE. Like, we love this place. We love what it inspires. But what we would love even more is if all of you took it upon yourselves to go influence someone in chiropractic to be better, be bigger, be more principled, whether that's a student. Guys, there are clubs at every school. You can call the school and say, oh, do you have a pediatric club if you like to see kids? If you're an upper cervical dork, you can be like, do you have an upper cervical club? They don't have philosophy clubs, so don't ask. They don't exist. They don't even know what the word philosophy is. It's their most hated class. There might be 7 kids in a school of 1,000 people that actually understand what the philosophy of chiropractic is, and they're becoming less and less. People are like, oh, we need to fill up this room. We do need to fill up this room, but we need to fill it up with younger people. My husband and I were talking at breakfast this morning. He goes, how many people do you think from our generation are in this room? And the first person I think of is Anthony Lopez, because we were literally he's talking after me, and he's really good, so get excited. Like, we were in school at the same time. We were up at midnight on Friday nights here at the student thing, chatting about how much we hated our schools or what we loved about our schools or what we were going to do and should we open and all this cool stuff. We were having those conversations here. But when we came, there was probably 60 kids that were coming that were students at that time. Where are they? And we can't make people come, right? You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink. But they also need to be contacted, right? They need to be reached out to. And so if you took it upon yourselves to either reach out to a school and see if you could speak to their club, you don't have to go there. But if you go to a school and you say, I'm going to teach a hands-on pediatric thing, do you know who's going to come? Everyone. Because they're hungry for pediatric chiropractic. And this is the thing that's crazy to me about pediatric chiropractic. There's nothing more philosophically sound on the planet than pediatric chiropractic. They don't have back pain. They don't have neck pain. They only have organic conditions from the nervous system being disrupted. And so you cannot give me an evidence-based approach to, hey, this kid has failure to thrive and I touched their spine and now they don't. There's no evidence-based approach. You know why? Because people don't understand how the body heals. They don't know what we are and what we do. It's insane. But now we have this avenue, and I would really encourage you guys to take this avenue. Anytime we host a pediatric thing at our friend Dr. Robert's office, we have 70 people there. If we're like, here's how to open, 7 kids show up. So who needs associates? Everybody? Most people? If you want to continue on the lifeline of your practice, right? If you want it to be a legacy-minded practice, you need help. And so if we want to have, then we need a kid that doesn't suck, right? So one, they can't suck at adjusting, so hopefully they're learning how to do that, but they can't suck at understanding what they actually do. People from my class have made millions doing manipulation under anesthesia. What? Here, let me turn off the life in your body. Then let me mess around with your body because you're so afraid. And then you can come back to, and your body will just be in a complete panic because it went to sleep one way and woke up the other. Or there'd be a car accident chiropractor. And if you're a car accident chiropractor, I don't hate you. You're necessary. I would love for you to be principled. But there are people that are just chasing ambulances and having relationships with lawyers and doing as little as possible or as much as possible to get a big bill versus actually helping someone. So somebody comes into us and they've been in a car accident. We just started a family of 7. Phenomenal month for collections, right? But we didn't electrocute them. We didn't stretch them out. We didn't roll them on a table. We just adjusted them, and they all got better. And the lawyers will literally say to us, like, don't you need an MRI? Don't you need a little bit more? I'm like, here's their OATS score, my dude. They're better. Like, what do you want from me? Like, I'm here to help people. I'm not here to, like, squeeze them dry because I know that their body will heal. And so if we can take this premise that the body heals itself and show it through, you have a 7-day-old baby who is a boob piranha making their mom weep every time that they nurse, right? And you adjust them because you've been trained to adjust them because they're not just a grown-up spine small. My husband's pet peeve with pediatric chiropractic. Please learn how to, the spine is not the same. And you clear them out, and then you give the little boob piranha back, and they're a baby instead of a piranha. What evidence do you need? That mom doesn't care if you have a double-blind controlled study that chiropractic helps babies. She's just really thankful she's not going to wince every time she brings her kid. But then she's going to have the problem to understand, well, why do I have to come back 3 days later and get adjusted again because it's starting to get tight? And then I'll say to mom, have you been chill all 3 days? She's like, what do you mean? I was like, oh, your nervous system's been perfect since you got checked. Well, no. I was like, your baby is living. It used to be naked, perfectly temped, always full, never covered in poop. Now it is cold, scratchy, hungry, covered in shit 24/7, right? Like that is not, sorry for the swearing, that's not, so I would be tense. Would you not be tense? They're like, yeah, I would be tense, right? You don't jump in a cold plunge and think, wow, this is great. And if you do, delusional. But so if we can think about how, from our little chiropractic island of our practice, we can connect with a students, we can inspire them. You can host something at your office if you're near a school. If you're not near a school, they're not coming. They're so lazy. I am an hour and a half away from Palmer, Florida, which has a robust Gonstead club. And they will not drive because I'm 30 minutes farther than the doctor. I'm like, what are you guys doing? I used to drive 5 hours to go shadow in an office for one shift. But I'm delusional. And so I would encourage you all to try and figure out a way to connect with students. If you have interns, use them as your in. Call the school. Say you're an alumni. Show up. Teach a pediatric thing. And just hammer the philosophy in. Because you cannot out-philosophy pediatric chiropractic. It's just not back pain, neck pain, and headaches. There is no billing code for babies. They're like, oh, I want to run this through my insurance. I'm like, you can't. Here's a super bill. Good luck. They'll be like, well, what pain was your baby in? My baby wasn't in pain. They sucked at sucking. And now they don't suck at sucking. And I have to pay for it out of pocket. It's literally all it is. But that is the point. So I would encourage you guys to think about what Brian said last night, to think about what Dr. Cordero said the night before, and just, am I a part of the remnant? Or am I going to watch my profession be swallowed up by a bunch of kids who were athletic trainers that wanted more? The bunch of meatheads that go to school in athletic wear that care more about what their workout is today and what their protein macros were than what they're going to do when they graduate. And if you've gone to a school lately, you know I am literally describing the population. It is not, chiropractic is not cruising. Is it the best time to be a chiropractor? Yes, because it's the time God chose you to be a chiropractor. But your job is to make sure it carries on. And if you're not going to do it at a SID level, you can still be delusional where you're at. And so that's what I would encourage you to do more than anything, is connect with young doctors who are opening. Don't be pissed that some kid is opening a practice down the street from you in your town that you've been the person forever. There's enough people for us all to see. If we all stood in a circle right outside and only served the people who walked directly in front of us, we would not have enough capacity to serve them. More chiropractors are retiring than they are graduating, and most of the graduates are out and under 3 years, and they're doing real estate development. They're selling mortgages. It's ridiculous. But fine, if they suck, let them go. But that just means we have to see more. We have to do more. That is our purpose. So I would encourage you, please, don't just hear this and be it. Think about, ask God to punch you in the face with what you should do for chiropractic. Serve this profession so that your great-grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, can get married to other chiropractors, get adjusted by people, that subluxations and adjustments are supreme the way that they are today. Thank you very much.